Cette conférence va maintenant être enregistrée.
So first of all, thank you for being so many to register and for being here today. My name is Melissa Miklas. I'm Communication Officer at FEDARENE, and you can see my colleague also on screen normally, Clémence Fricken, also working at FEDARENE. So for those of you who don't know us, we are the European Federation of Agencies and Regions for Energy and the Environment. We do organize a lot of webinars, usually more focused on energy efficiency and sustainable energy. But we realize that circular economy is also important for our field, for our members. And so this series of webinar that we are launching today is also designed to inspire more of our members, but also more public authorities, energy agencies, and other stakeholders to launch new circular economy initiatives, because we think there is still not a lot of them in Europe. And it's also a very important moment with the new Circular Economy Action Plan that the Commission launched, but more will be said by our speakers on this. So let me remind you before I pass the floor and we start to turn off your webcams and microphones if you're not speakers, to join us on Slido using the code ITCE for Introduction to Circular Economy, because we will launch a few polls and you will also be able to ask questions from Slido. Of course, you can always use the chat box for questions as well. And you will be able to ask questions after each presentation and also at the end for a general Q&A session. So before I pass the floor to our first speaker, let me remind you about our agenda. So we have 3 presentations today. I think you've seen it already. This is Slido again. And I would like to launch a poll just to make sure everybody is already active, listening to us, connected. So please join us now on Slido. I will do it myself in order to be a good student. So you can either do it from the Slido app or the Slido website, and then you register ITCE, and I will make the question appear. Okay, perfect. People are connecting. Now let's start the quiz. Very simple question. Well, or not actually, but just to test your knowledge of circular economy. So select the answer that seems the most accurate, because a few of them could be true, but what is the truest statement for you? What is circular economy about? A new waste management system, buying services instead of products, producing and consuming in a more sustainable way, or drawing circles on banknotes? You have 23 seconds left. And this will help me to give you an introductory definition of the topic, just to make sure we're all on the same page. 7, 6, 5. Hope you all had time to select your answer. Producing and consuming in a more sustainable way is the most answered one. So actually, you all seem to agree with me and to have a pretty good idea of what we're going to talk about. So that's great. So to build this question, I used notably the definition given by the European Parliament on circular economy, which is: the circular economy is a model of production and consumption which involves sharing, leasing, reusing, repairing, refurbishing, and recycling existing materials and products as long as possible. In this way, the life cycle of products is extended. So you can already feel in this definition that there are lots of applications in many different fields And this webinar will confirm this to you, because we aim to really give you an overview of the many possibilities of the circular economy field. And now, without further ado, I will introduce our first speaker, who is Emmanuel Maire from the European Commission. Oh, congratulations, Alexis, you were the first one to answer. So Emmanuel works at the European Commission, as I was saying, in the Directorate General for Environment, and she heads the team responsible for sustainable production, products and consumption. And the core activity of her team is to support the transition to a circular and green economy in the European Union. So you can see she is definitely the right person to present you the Circular Economy Action Plan launched by the Commission in March this year. So hello, Emmanuel. Now I will give you control and you can start your presentation. You are muted though, so you will have to unmute yourself.
Yes, good morning, Melissa, and good morning to everyone. It's really a pleasure to be with you, and a pleasure also to see the level of responses to the first Slido question. Why? Because circular economy has very often been associated to waste management, and it is actually much more. And I'm very happy that you replied focusing on sustainable production and consumption. As you know, the European Commission has made of the Green Deal one of its 6 priorities for the 5 years to come. And together with the climate neutrality, it has also decided to relaunch a new circular economy action plan. We had one for the period of 2015-2019, and we got a green light to do more and to scale up action on circular economy when Ursula von der Leyen was appointed President of the European Commission. So in March this year, we've presented a new circular economy action plan that I will summarize for you today. So the first slide is about the need for action. Why do we need greater action on circular economy? First of all, because we see that the global extraction of materials follows a course which is unsustainable. It has tripled between 1970 and today, and is expected to be multiplied by 2 until 2060. This has devastating impacts on biodiversity. 90% of biodiversity loss and water stress comes from resource extraction and processing. What we also see is that the annual waste generation is increasing and will continue to increase by 70% by 2050. You may know that in Europe, each European produce 500 kilos of municipal waste every year. And so the trends are really not good. This being said, we also have an opportunity because we see that only 12% of the materials used by the European Union industry comes from recycling, meaning that we rely 88% of the time on virgin material, and there is an opportunity to do much better on this front. So to come back to the question which was asked at the beginning, we have a definition of circular economy that looks at the entire loop from raw materials to the design, to the production and remanufacturing, the distribution, the consumption, use, reuse, repair, the collection of waste, the recycling of waste, and making sure that these secondary raw materials are fed into the production cycle again. So in other words, an economy which is circular is where the value of products, materials, and resources is maintained for as long as possible and the generation of waste minimized. What I used to say is that a circular economy is the opposite of a linear economy where we produce, consume, and throw away goods. So the new Circular Economy Action Plan, which is currently being analyzed by the European Parliament, but also by the 27 member states of the European Union, the Committee of the Regions, and the Economic and Social Committee, is proposing 35 actions at EU level for the 5 years to come. And the emphasis has been placed on a sustainable product policy framework, which you see in green, focusing also on key value chains, which are extremely important and where the benefits are in terms of circular economy. You see them in pink with electronics and ICTs, batteries and vehicles, packaging, plastics, textiles, construction and buildings, food, water, and nutrients. And then always how to produce less waste and produce more value by reducing waste exports, boosting the market for secondary raw materials of high qualities and which are safe. And what we do also in this Circular Economy Action Plan is to look how to make circular economy work for people, regions, and cities, how we can factor in the benefits of circular economy for the climate neutrality agenda of the European Union, what we can do to get the economics right, look at the financial markets, investments, research and innovation, the international dimension, of course, and monitoring of progress. So these actions are to be found in the Circular Economy Action Plan. So I would like to focus a bit more on the issue of designing sustainable products. Why? Because we see that up to 80% of the product's environmental impacts are determined at the design phase. And at European Union level, we don't have eco-design obligations for all products and for all aspects of the life cycle analysis of a product. What we have is an eco-design directive, which is probably well known to most of the participants, which relates to energy-related products and focuses mainly on energy efficiency. And this has proven to be a very good tool. Why? Because on one hand, we can prevent the placing on the markets of products which are not meeting the standards. And at the same time, through labeling, we can draw the attention of consumers to the best products. For example, when you buy your washing machine, you know what is the energy performance of the washing machine by looking at the label. So what we are currently working on is to see if we could upgrade the Eco-Design Directive beyond energy-related products to improve the durability, reusability, upgradability, and repairability of products, address the presence of hazardous chemicals, and increase also the recycled content in products, restrict single use and counter premature obsolescence, incentivize product as a service instead of the ownership of the product itself, and also use the digitalization tools that we have to have more information on products, for example, through digital product passports. So this is an ambitious agenda that requires a lot of efforts, and we would welcome, any views you may have on these sustainable product initiatives, which is currently open for consultation on the portal of the European Commission that is called Have Your Say. What we also see is that we need to help both consumers like you and I, but also public buyers, public authorities, when they buy goods, to choose green, which is not necessarily so easy. So the Circular Economy Action Plan foresees the revision of the existing consumer law to make sure that consumers receive trustworthy and relevant information on products at the point of sale, establish a new right to repair, and also we are working on a legislative proposal to make sure that when companies are making green claims on their products, they do so according to EU methods, which we call the environmental footprint methods. Why? Because at the moment, we have a lot of green claims, we have a lot of misleading green claims, we have a lot of methods, about 500 at international levels, which give rise to a series of labels which are impossible for consumers to understand, and impossible also for public authorities to check. So this is also an important file where consultation is ongoing. I was saying that it's very important that consumers are empowered, but also public authorities, because we buy the equivalent of 14% of the EU GDP each year. And so if we were using green public procurement to do so, then we would have more impact and giving also an advantage to companies who are investing in green products and services. And so far, buying green has always been made on a voluntary basis. There is no binding criteria nor targets at EU level for now, and we are looking at the possibility to introduce those binding criteria and targets in specific legislation. For example, when we will present a proposal on batteries, then we would look at the possibility of putting targets for public for buying green. I was also referring to the importance of making circularity work for people, regions, and cities. At least 4 million jobs are linked to the circular economy in the European Union, and we would like to make sure that we increase the number of jobs linked to the circular economy. We want to mobilize the funds that we have through regional policy, but also through the green recovery, the recovery and the resilience facility, to help efforts on this. And I would like to stress that for now, we have also research and innovation money which are available to deploy the circular economy at territorial level across the European Union. So don't hesitate to Google Green Deal Horizon Europe, and you will find the call for proposals, which needs to be submitted by January. So you still have time to team up on this. And one of the last slide, next, if it works, is to draw your attention to the fact that there is a circular economy stakeholder platform which is available on the web. You see the link here, where you can look for good practices, but also post your good practices. You can also find strategies from regions, businesses, knowledge. You can file your commitments, enter into dialogues, and this is a permanent place for stakeholders to meet and exchange. And in that context, we will organize on the 3rd and 4th of November the Circular Economy Conference at EU level, and the announcements are made always on this website. So with this, I would like to thank you for your attention, and I'm of course available to answer questions you may have. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Emmanuel. That was very clear. For me, who hasn't had time yet to read the action plan, that was definitely useful. And so, as Emmanuel was saying, if you have questions, that would be good that you raise them now, because Emmanuel has a meeting at 11 and won't unfortunately be able to answer your questions at the end of the webinar after the 2 other presentations. So let's see. I don't think we have any for now. So maybe I can ask one as an introduction, but please do write them down on the chat box or on Slido, and then Clémence will collect them for us. So yeah, actually, so I will start, Emmanuel, if you don't mind. Well, I had a question at the beginning, but then you gave a lot of elements actually to answer it, but still, I was wondering about the role of public authorities at the local and regional level in circular economy. You mentioned that there was this mandatory green public procurement to help them buy sustainable products. But what else could local and regional authorities do to help you implement the plan?
I think there are many things that can be done at local level, and which are being done at local level, because circular economy is very concrete and covers all aspects, not only green public procurement, which are certainly a very important element, but also how to make sure that citizens can share products, reuse, promoting, circular business models, and obviously on waste. There are also many things that local authorities can do and have to do, because we have also obligations, for example, to collect separately a number of waste flows, for example, textiles, bio waste. So I think that many things are being done at local level. Many tools support actions at local level through funding, and we will continue promoting circular economy in the recovery plan at EU level, so that public authorities can tap into these funds if they are necessary. We also need to make sure that at European Union level, we are on the right track with what we are proposing, focusing much more on product policy. And there it's very important to have the views of regions and cities. And I must say that we've been encouraged by this, by the very active role of the Committee of the Regions, So I think circular economy is everywhere. It's not only at EU level, it's really at local, national level, and obviously at international level. Last point I would like to stress is that if local authorities can provide support to other local authorities, or if they need help, we have also what we call twinning programs to help public authorities helping each other. So the European Union would support public authorities teaming up across Europe, despite the difficult situation we are in with the COVID, but still to do better and to learn together at EU level.
Okay, perfect. Let me just say, you mentioned the role of the Committee of the Regions, and we will have a representative of the Committee of the Regions for the next webinar. So all those here with us today, I will give you more information at the end of this webinar. Clémence, are you here? I see questions popping up on Slido, if you would like to raise them.
Yes, so I'm sorry. So far we have two questions. One is very specific. Oh, sorry, I'm sharing my camera. One is very specific and more oriented towards the possibility for businesses to have funding tool dedicated to themselves instead of going through their own public authority for funding support. So the question exactly is, oh, I guess you can see, right?
Yes, I do
Yes.
see. Thank you. It's working very well. So on this, there is a recent guide on funding tools for the circular economy. So I think I could share it with Melissa, the link, so that you have this reference document, which is very good. For the specific funding tools that you can access right now, as I was saying, there is a big call, the European Green Deal Horizon 2020 for research and innovation, and there you can already file proposals which you may have. We have also the LIFE fund, which is the instrument to support environmental and climate policies, and they also organize a lot of calls, and circular economy is one of the highlights. Otherwise, InvestEU is very relevant. For the rest, I think that most of them you would have to go through the national usual funds. But again, I think that the guides that I will share with Melissa will be helpful on that.
Thank you so much.
And then I see that there is another question. Are you facing any conflicts between the implementation of the circular economy and free trade with partners across the world? I must say that so far, so good. We've been also placing a lot of energy to promote the need for circular economy at global level. So a lot of partners and the United Nations community do understand why we are doing this, and they are more and more copying what the European Union is proposing. The advantage of the European Union is that something that has been agreed for 27 member states with a market of 500 million inhabitants is generally seen as a successful way forward. So this, for example, is illustrated by what we've been doing on plastics. You know, we issued a plastic strategy in a circular economy. We have taken measures to ban certain single-use products. And what we see is not a problem with trade partners, but actually commitment of third countries to do the same. And they see now a practical way forward, which is very much shared. And then the other example I would like to share with you is the question of exports and trade in waste. And there it's also very clear that there was a need to regulate even more the trade of waste to make sure that we do not export waste challenges, health challenges, environmental challenges abroad. Some countries had already taken measures to refuse shipment of waste. And so we've been working in the context of the Basel Convention to set up rules at international level. So far, so good, but it's extremely important that the trade community internationally is aware of the need to implement circular economy and does not impede progress on this. And it's very important for Europe to make sure that when we act on circular economy, we do so in a non-discriminatory way. That's, I think, paramount.
Okay, thank you very much, Clémence, for your help. And thank you again to Emmanuel for a very interesting presentation. I think it's time for us to move on to the next presentation, but you will have the slides, and I think there will be Emmanuel's email address, if I'm not wrong, if you would like to ask more questions. So thank you again, Emmanuel. You have a short break before your next meeting, so good for you, and see you soon. Goodbye.
Thank you very much. Bye.
Bye-bye. And now it's time for me to introduce our second speaker of the day, with Outi Pakarinen from the Central Finland region. So Central Finland is one of the FEDARENE members, a member of our network, and I would say the expert about circular economy in our network. So of course it made sense for us to invite them, but also to organize jointly this series of webinars with them. Regarding Outi, she is working as acting development manager in bioeconomy in the Council of Central Finland, and in her presentation she will give you a few examples of the promotion of circular economy in Central Finland. So hello Outi, I give you control and the floor is yours.
Thank you, Melissa. And hello everyone. Greetings from Central Finland. We are a regional authority and developing circular economy in strategic level, mainly as a part of bioeconomy development goal in Central Finland. Please take a look at the video later if you are interested to learn more about our best practices in bio and circular economy. We are happy to be a partner in CircWaste project, which gives us resources to implement national waste management plan and catalyze actions towards circular economy. There are 20 partners from Finland in this project, and we do a lot of cooperation together with the different partners. As you may already know, global economy uses huge amount of materials every year, and only 9% of these material flows are circular. And when you are promoting circular economy in regional level, you need regional data and regional cooperation. The size of the Central Finland is approximately half of the size of the Netherlands. In Netherlands, there is almost 17 million people living, and we have less than 300,000. So quite sparsely populated area we have here. We have made a study about the waste streams in Central Finland and found out that we generate almost 2 million tons of waste every year and biggest proportion comes from construction and demolition waste. And based on this data, we have created a roadmap for our region, and we have selected the 4 main, the most important themes. And we are not doing this work alone. We have a large regional cooperation group, and we have arranged several seminars, webinars, and other events around this topic. One of our development goals, even long before Cirque-Waste project, has been promoting biogas production and consumption. And currently we are producing less than 10% of biogas potential. So we have a lot of possibilities to increase local renewable energy production and to create also new jobs what comes to biogas production and consumption. In recent years, there has been investments both on new biogas plants and fueling stations. And due to these investments, we have seen a rapid increase in the amount of gas-fueled cars. We now have those more than 700. And as mentioned already in previous presentation, public procurements can be and have been used to promote biogas consumption in our region. Now we have waste trucks and city buses running on local waste-derived biogas. The Finnish Innovation Fund Sitra has published a list of the most interesting circular economy companies in Finland. And here are some examples from our region. As you can see, the companies are from several different sectors and representing different circular economy business models. For example, the Fluid Intelligence is a company which sells oil as a service. Betolar is using industrial waste streams to replace cement in concrete products. And Spinnova produce renewable and sustainable food-based textile fibers to replace plastic-based textile. We want to work with innovative growth companies, and Kasvu Open is a business coaching program which has been developed here in central Finland originally. And this year, among other growth tracks, there has been a growth track for bio and circular economy companies, and almost 50 applications were got, and 15 of those were selected for coaching, and 2 of those companies were from central Finland. First of them, Aisti Corporation, which is developing renewable wood fiber-based acoustic panels, and the second one, Jyväshamppu, which is creating and producing local food products from organically grown hemp, and they are also developing new innovations to use the hemp, for example, in construction. And from this bio and circular economy growth track, 2 companies were selected to national finals, and those were Clevat, which is saving seas from plastic waste, and Solitary Power, making fuel from indoor air carbon dioxide. Finland was the first nation in the world which got a circular economy roadmap in 2016. It was published by the Finnish Innovation Fund Sitra. And this roadmap is divided into different themes, and one of those themes is transport and logistics. And as one of the pilots there is this Central Finland as a model province for transport biogas. So our work has been noticed also in national level. And right now there is work going on to create a strategic program to promote circular economy in Finland. And this aims also to reach the national carbon neutrality target by 2035. Well, as a summary of my presentation, when you are promoting circular economy, you should know your region and the characteristics of your region, involve all the stakeholders to do the work together. And I think that you need to work both on strategic and on practical level. And on strategic level also, you need to take into account the national targets and also the EU targets as well. Communicate and cooperate. Thank you for your interest, and thank you for FEDARENE for this possibility to present the examples from Central Finland today.
Thank you very much, Uti. I think that was quite interesting and very complementary with the first presentation. So let's see if some people have specific questions about your presentation. In that case, Clémence will raise them orally. But let me just say that yeah, you can ask now your questions related to this presentation, but at the end you will again have the possibility to ask questions to Uti. Maybe if you have more general questions about circular economy, there will still be time. Okay, we already have one question. Clémence, should I read them or you do it?
Well, I can, of course. So the first question is, what are you doing specifically to address the waste from construction and demolition, as you mentioned?
Yeah, thank you. Well, when we found out that this construction and demolition waste is the biggest proportion of our waste streams, we have organized an event where we have gathered together the relevant actors in this field. And then we are also participating other initiatives that are going on in national level. For example, the Ministry of Environment has been very active in this field, and we are finding out the best practices also from other regions from Finland and trying to get our actors to trying to get them aware that what are the best practices and how they could implement those. But our work is mainly networking, because we are not construction business as well. So our work is networking and sharing the information about the best practices.
Okay, I think I will take my privilege of moderator to ask a second question, if you don't mind, because I was really while listening to you, I kept thinking definitely Central Finland and Finland in general are leaders in circular economy in Europe, and maybe for many of the participants and for many other countries, it seems like a very far ideal to reach. So what would be your advice for other countries? How can they start this process? And what do you think was maybe the main ingredient that allowed you to become such a leader? Is it the national roadmap or the regional one, or a combination of everything? I don't know if my question is clear.
Well, your question was clear, but my answer won't
But
be.
it's a difficult one. Yeah, I know.
Yeah. I think that Finland wants to be the leader. I'm not sure if we are that yet, but we need to have these impressive targets so that we have possibility to reach those. And one important thing I think that we have that more people are getting so they are understanding that this is really not just waste management or recycling. This is new business opportunities, new jobs, and we really have to take into account the economical issues. And that is the way how we can probably be the leaders someday. So hopefully we will get from the plans to the real action. So then it's possible to be leader. Did I answer to your question?
I think so. Basically, we have to frame it as it is good for the planet, but it is also good for your wallet, is what I understand from your answer.
Yes,
Okay.
that's true.
Thank you very much, Uti. I'll see you in a bit after the third presentation and final one. So now I will introduce you to Alexis, our third speaker. Alexis is also a FEDARENE member from the SAMSE Energy Academy. He has been working with communities and regions on sustainable energy and development for 15 years, and now is project manager at SAMSE Energy Academy in Denmark for international cooperation, and he will share with you the perspective of the island of SAMSE. Hello, Alexis. I'm giving you control.
Thank you, Melissa, and also the previous speakers for the insight in the EU policy and the fantastic examples from our neighbor central region of Finland. I'm invited. Sorry about that. I'm invited to talk to you a little bit about SAMSE, which is an island of 3,700 people, which is a municipality on its own and part of the central region of Denmark. So this is an introduction, and I don't want to get into too many details and numbers about projects, but I'd rather take you 23 years back at the time when two breakthroughs happened on the island that shaped the future of SAMSE. The year is 1997, and the local slaughterhouse on SAMSE, one of the main businesses on the island, providing 110 jobs, closed down. It could not compete anymore with the economies of scale of similar facilities on the mainland. So it sent 110 workers home, and that was a blow to the island's economy and created a true depression on SAMSE. The second breakthrough, I promised, was that in December of the same year, 1997, Denmark at COP3 in Kyoto promised a very ambitious goal to cut down CO2 emissions by 21%. And then it needed to select a pilot community to demonstrate that shifting to 100% renewable energy in a time frame of, let's say, 10 years was possible. When the idea that this pilot could be SAMSE was presented to the island community, there was silence, a long silence. Rural communities are often very skeptical in fancy ideas from the capital. So many believe that if they kept silent for long enough, the idea would just go away. Fast forward to 2020, 2 weeks ago, in her big State of the Union speech, President von der Leyen of the European Commission said that to recover from the pandemic, the EU has the opportunity to make change happen by design. Life and the whole world run in a known way, and there is always a flow, always a way that things are done. But humans, we have the unique capability to design, to shift from the natural flow of things. This can create evolution and can create change. At the World Circular Economy Forum last week, Executive Vice President Timmermans of the European Commission said that aiming to save the planet is wrong, and that the planet would be just fine without us. Changing our thinking, he said, is about saving humanity. On Samso, the closure of the slaughterhouse in 1997 made the community think a lot about how to save the community, how to design its future, and to sustain itself. What everybody had in common and shared, just like a bonfire, a common good that people around it share to heat up. Fears, first of all, about the population and how to create jobs, how to save the hospital, how to save the schools, how to be economically independent, how to save the community. So what is important for a strong, robust, and sustainable community? To share locality, activity, and mentality. The questions about the community's future were asked in new meeting formats, such as cafe seminars, open spaces settings, to ensure that people felt comfortable in space and time to talk about the unknown, to get involved, to allow a strong process to happen, change to happen. Samso eventually overcame the skepticism, applied to become the pilot Danish renewable energy community, and won. The new project created hope and was an opportunity to change the economic thinking from importing oil and electricity from coal to a self-sustainable society which uses its local resources and develops local financing models. By 2007, Samso had become carbon negative thanks to wind energy, sun, local biomass, and electric vehicles, and thousands of visitors started coming to the Energy Academy annually to see firsthand how did this happen. A third breakthrough I would like to share today is about another diversion from the flow, another change in the way of doing things. Currently, the entire renewable electricity production from the offshore wind turbines is sold to the national grid. The island does not need all that electricity. On the other hand, most cars are still conventional, and some homes are still not connected to the district heating. And so the concept "it stays on the island" was put in motion. We also call it common sense. What if we stopped exporting the excess renewable electricity to the grid? The electricity comes from local resources, so what if somehow we could use it on the island? And what is Samso pledged to become completely carbon-free by 2030? And so it did. And Samso is currently designing this new future, and quite a few projects have come out of this pledge, all based on common sense and the idea of self-sustainability, because community can only be sustainable if it can also sustain itself. The new projects include to use local renewable electricity for district heating, complementary heat pumps in individual homes. Already Samso has the highest number of heat pumps per capita in Denmark. Use local biomass and municipal waste to produce biogas on the island and fuel the ferry to the mainland. The process will also provide fertilizer to feed back into the soil. Maybe we'll have the opportunity to share our experience on this one, Melissa, in the forthcoming Circular Economy webinar on biogas. Also, build more charging stations to use the local renewable electricity and further increase the number of electric vehicles on the island. Already Samsø has the highest number of electric vehicles per capita in Denmark. So back in 1997, Samsø discovered the hard way what the lack of circular economy means and what would be the benefits for the island if it invested in its own resources and became more self-sufficient. In 1997, this process started, and until today, new local initiatives emerged still, always based on the same circularity concept, that is to turn all local resources to an advantage for the island. The Green Man, for example, where a local technician tries to fix people's electrical appliances that do not work anymore. Often fixing them is not complicated, and it's worth extending their lifespan instead of throwing them away. Also, the cracks that make way for the light. At the Energy Academy building, we replaced all generation LED lamps with the newest generation, and the used lamps are sold at auction in order to be reused or recycled. I love this one because it is inspired by these very nice lyrics by Leonard Cohen. All these examples at different scale and level of difficulty show that every community can look where the cracks are and let the light in to move forward. So I would love to hear your stories too, and what circular economy means in your local context and your own community. I think Soren Hermansen, director of the Energy Academy, is also online and very keen too to get involved in a discussion with you. Thank you very much. And we're here to have a discussion.
Thank you very much, Alexis. That was very inspiring, almost poetic, I would say. I did see Soren connecting, so please, Soren, if you're here with us, feel free to turn on your webcam and your mic to comment on this webinar and answer the questions that we get. So,
I'm ready.
Yes, I can see you. Hello, Soren.
Hi.
So as Alexis said, Soren is the director of the Samsø Energy Academy, and something I found quite interesting. I know that the agency is very good at also working on the psychology aspect, analyzing the mind of people to decide on what can be done on sustainable energy, circular economy, etc. And I found that very interesting because sometimes we focus so much on implementing technical decisions and we do not think, do we have the support of the citizens? And I think you guys do that pretty well. So if you want to start by stating something, if you want to add something, Soren, from Alex's presentation, feel free.
Well, first of all, I'll say that Alexis did a really good job. So there's not much to add to his presentation, but I can say a comment from me is that I think circular economy for a small community or even also for a bigger community doesn't start with a plan. It starts with a problem. So I think also Alexis stressed that, and we had some depression on the island because of changes, infrastructure changes from kind of activated from outside. So when you have these pressure points or critical problems, then it's easier to identify what is kind of then the purpose of change, because change is a factor also that can have a negative effect. People are very conservative usually, and they don't want change. But change happens, and we have to adjust to change and do the best we can. And if you can then on top of that address the circular economy benefit of this also, that if you stop importing oil from outside, if you start producing your own services, if you create more jobs, then all of a sudden the change becomes your activity. It becomes your security of life and culture in the future. Then you could say that any change will then be more interesting than the change that happens because of a problem that cannot be solved. So it's looking at, I mean, the starting point is maybe a necessity or a necessary starting point that is either provoked or happened because of something. And I think you should grab these opportunities. I mean, it is like the very poetic introduction from Alexis with the crack in the pot where the lights can come in. You cannot make anything perfect. There will be cracks and points here also, but let the light come in and let's see the changes happen here, because people grow by the challenge and they learn by doing things here also. But if you have too much bureaucracy, too much system administration, then there's not room for changes and for people to grow with the job. So I think this is also just a comment to what Alexis already pointed out, a way to make people aware of their possibilities and make them grow with the challenges. And I think that is also necessary in the European Union to achieve the UN development goals and all the things here also. We need to grow with this job, because this is a big job. And if we cannot see our own role in it, then we become kind of passengers on the boat instead of being what I call it, decksman and hands on deck that can operate and make the ship move. So that was just a brief comment from me, because I think we already covered it. It maybe make room for questions and discussions.
So I do have a small follow-up comment and question. So do you think that the global pandemic that we are living could be one of these initial problems that could start a reflection on circular economy? So the fact that everybody was at a standstill for a while, and that citizens also started to realize that they did not need so many things in their lives that they did before. Could this be one of the things you were mentioning?
I don't know, Alexis, if you want to answer this, you can also do this. But yes, I think the pandemic has kind of pointed out the possibility of changing the patterns or the business as usual aspects here also, which again allows us to see the consequences of not flying so much, not consuming so much. I mean, staying more at home, working from home on webinars like this. It is all of a sudden possible. We could have done that long time ago, but the pandemic kind of taught us to kind of make sense and make sensible decisions and be careful about what we do here. I mean, I could only dream that if we had the same, what do you call it, attention to climate change, then a lot of things would happen and change radically. So hopefully we can learn from this.
Of course. Thank you. So I think we don't have questions yet. So I don't know if people are suddenly shy. Clémence, did you see any questions in the chat?
No, I haven't seen any question.
Yeah.
I just had one, maybe continuing in the far away vision for Alexis and Soren. Do you have, because Alexis, you mentioned many projects that were ongoing to make the island self-sustainable. What is your next big plan? What is your next big vision at the Energy Academy?
The ongoing process is to make the island completely carbon-free by 2030. So not carbon neutral, completely carbon-free. So to replace every single use of fossil fuels. So, and this is a process from which many projects derive, including the biogas and more electric cars, and feeding the ferry, and further reducing the consumption, increasing energy efficiency. But the name of the big process is to make the island completely carbon free by 2030. And this is mainly practically a partnership between the municipality of Samsø and the Samsø Energy Academy and a lot of local actors too that form and based on these partnerships where local financing models were also created in the past in order to finance the existing renewable energy projects, which were 100% locally owned.
Okay, thank you. I think, Uti, you can turn on your webcam in case there are global questions that might involve everyone. So I will still wait a few minutes to be sure there are no other questions. But if you also would like to make final statements maybe on the topic, any of you, please go ahead.
Final statement on the topic. I think that we all have huge opportunities what comes to circular economy. and it seems that many people are interested in this topic, and I hope that we get new cooperation contacts also during this webinar, and you may be in contact with me if you are interested to learn more about circular economy in general in central Finland, or especially about those innovative companies that we are having in our region. So thank you, everybody.
Okay, I think people are starting to be shy. So before we close, I would like to launch a final poll. This is a risky one, but I just wanted to check if people appreciated this webinar. So I'm asking you, did this webinar inspire you to launch a circular economy initiative in your city or region? Be honest. This is for me to know. And if you do have questions later on, you will have the no. Oh, no is growing. I'm scared, but we don't have a lot of answers yet. So yeah, I was saying you will be able to contact speakers afterwards, and the slides will be sent to you by email. They will be available on our website. So this will still be possible later on. All right, I will stay positive and optimistic, and I think this is a good percentage. 84% of you are inspired by this webinar to launch a circular economy initiative. So you have great speakers here with you to help you with that. So make sure to remember their presentations when you do launch this process. Thank you again, Soren, Alexis, Uti, for your help in organizing this webinar. It was very interesting for me, and I think for everyone here. Thank you again to Emmanuelle, although she has left us, and you will all receive the recording very soon. So have a nice day, everyone, and see you at the next circular economy webinars we are organizing. So we have one on the 10th of December about the energy dimension of circular economy, where you will hear about biogas, public procurement. And Alexis, I heard you about your request maybe to share some more best practices from SAMSE. So we will discuss that. The agenda and the registration form will be available soon, but you will receive more information on this very soon. And the next one next year. The information is here. Visit our website, FEDARENE.org, for more information. And thanks again, everyone. Goodbye.
Thank you, Melissa. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye, Alexis.
Bye-bye.
Bye, Uti. Thank you.
Bye. Bye.